a bit cold in Bern here today with a few clouds. But today we're going to be talking about temperatures more in the data centers rather than the temperature in the Swiss Alps mountains. What I'm going to be talking about today is I'm going to present the differences between the server and the cloud. We're going to look about the advantages and disadvantages of being in the cloud. What are some of the cloud options that we have, and how can we get into the cloud if you want to? And is Atlassian Cloud the place to be or not to be for you, for your organization? And finally, I'm going to leave you with some additional resources, and we'll do the question and answer session. Now that we know what the clouds are made of, what's in the Atlassian Cloud? So if you look at the Atlassian Cloud, we can see we already have the Jira Core, Jira Service Desk, Jira Software. We have Confluence, we have Bitbucket, and of course we have the Atlassian Access, which I'll talk about this a bit more in details a bit later. So to start with, what's the differences between server and cloud? There's few differences. I probably won't mention everything, but I'm going to mention a few of them. To start with the interface. So there's a slight difference in the interface if we take first the dashboards. A bit more modern, let's say, with the cards and everything in the cloud. But the main difference is the navigation menu. For those of you who use the Jira server, we see the dashboard, projects, issue, create issue, they're on the top. In the clouds, we notice that they're on the left-hand side. In server, they're fixed, while in the cloud, they actually change, the menu changes as we navigate through where we are in the project or on the issue. The licensing will change as well between server and cloud. Not talk about prices, but we have the option of having a monthly subscription in the cloud, which we don't have it in the server. We know in the server it's a tier-based annual subscription. And in the clouds, we have next-gen application, which is only available in the clouds, which offers as well the roadmap with it in the next-gen, and we can see the sprints on the roadmap or Gantt chart-like presentation in the on the cloud, the next-gen projects. What are some of the advantages of being in the Atlassian Cloud for you or for your company? Of course, the infrastructure is managed by Atlassian, which means reduced cost for your company. No need to worry about having the IT people or the network guys who will have to take care of all these servers. The upgrades are managed by Atlassian. We always have the latest versions of the software that is done by Atlassian, and we always have the latest features that are being developed continuously by Atlassian as well. So we'll have access to the new functionalities as they come out from Atlassian. And as I said, we have the option of monthly subscription, which could be useful for some, I guess, because if your user base changes monthly, or you have more users or less users, you can adapt it monthly. You don't have to change your base, your tier annually, or you have to wait for the end of the year if you want to update your subscriptions. Moving on to what are some of the disadvantages of being in the Atlassian Cloud. For now, some of the functionalities, we still have them in server. We don't have them yet in cloud. If I was to list some of these, we have to be able to customize the email templates, for example, enable or disable the attachments, manage the external and the LDAP users. I'm going to talk about this a bit more later when we talk about the Atlassian Access. If it's going to be managed outside of because for now in the cloud we have to create our own accounts for the users, and then they are linked for the application. But we're going to see how Access is going to be able to manage this as well. So these are some of the examples, the differences, or what's available and not available in functionalities in server but not in cloud. We have more apps currently on the server than we have in the clouds. We've seen from the talks that we had this morning, this is changing from what the marketplace editors have presented. Insight, EasyBI, I think we already have them. In cloud, Structure PM, as I mentioned, it's been recently released in cloud as well. Elements Connect, there's, like Laura mentioned this morning as well, we have an early access to the app in the cloud as well. The cloud is currently limited at 5,000 users. This is changing, I believe, and we hear that it's changing. So it's going to be more soon if that's a need or a constraint for your company. And the capacity within the cloud is at 250 gigabytes for standard subscriptions. There is a premium subscription where you can have unlimited access. To compare what we have between the standard and the premium, what we have available in the cloud, we do have now a free option in the cloud as well, which probably a cool option for people or companies who want to start and try how the cloud is like. Up to 10 users for software for Confluence and Core, and up to 3 agents within the Jira Service Desk. You can have a free cloud products. It offers it offers some of the standard and premium we have. So Scrum and Kanban boards would have backlog, agile reporting, customizable workflows, roadmaps, apps integration. We only have a storage of 2 gigabytes for a file storage, but again, for a free product to try, that's not bad. And there's no support from Atlassian, so there's only the community support. If you look at the differences between standard and premium, they're both at 5,000 users for now. As I said, this could change. They're very similar until you get to the 99% uptime. So with premium, you have, let's say, guarantee from Atlassian, or not guarantee, but it's 99% uptime. I think there's a financial SLAs on this. You get unlimited storage, and they provide 24/7 premium support. So how do we manage users in the cloud? We know if we are on the server side of things, we can manage either within the internal directory of Jira or the product, or we have a crowd. The Atlassian, on the cloud, we can do similar things with the cloud applications. So for a certain number of users, we can use the users that are managed within the application. So that's where users create their own accounts through the email address, and they're associated with the product. For a larger company, larger enterprises, or where the company wants to manage the users through their management system they have, their LDAP, etc., there's Atlassian Access. So quite similar to the Atlassian Cloud, it provides access management for the Atlassian products, Atlassian Cloud products. So it's a bridge. It's like a bridge that connects the Atlassian products to the identity system, the identity management in the company. And of course, it provides easy access for the admin to manage the users, and it improves the onboarding process for the users within the company. What are some of the features that we have for the Atlassian Access? So it provides single sign-on. We can set it up with single sign-on with a certain identity management. It has enforced two-factor authentication. This does exist currently in Jira and Confluence. The difference now is it's optional if it's enabled by the admin, versus in the Atlassian Access, it can be enforced by the admin and be enforced for all the users to have a two-factor authentication. We can have insights into the organization access to the products. We can automate the life cycle and make the onboarding of the users a lot easier by managing the users in the LDAP or AD. We can have API token control to manage external processes access to the product. We do have an audit logs, so we can have a visibility of the activities that's happening in the product. The admin can actually set duration session timeouts, so he can control after a certain time of idle time on a session, he can cut the session, or we can he can finish the session after a certain time of unused by the user, and then of course we have the support from Atlassian. For those who might be thinking about moving into the cloud, or who have wondering what might be the journey to move or to migrate towards the cloud, Atlassian proposes the 6 stages that we have here. So to start with, it's to do an assessment. I'm going to go through them quickly, but it's to do an assessment of the product that you have currently on the server. So to see the number of projects, number of users, number of issues you currently have, and then to assess the cost and the location of data that you might need to have, or look into that once you move to cloud. And then we have the planning section, and that's where you can create your account on the clouds, develop the migration plan, and start cleaning up the server a little bit. And then we have the testing, and that's where we set up access into the clouds. We do our first test migration to the cloud, and do the user access testing or user acceptance testing into the cloud. Then we have the migration, the big day, let's say, to migrate, and that's where actually we do a migration, a production migration to the cloud. We communicate that to the users, and then we have the launch, and that's where we have the users on board. We set the server to read only, and we let the users to start use the clouds, and then to optimize. That's when we have the end of life for the server. And then we start to see if we can integrate the product, the cloud application product with other applications or market apps. So that's quickly. I'm going to give you the access to this later, so you guys can refer to it back if you need to. So what's the Atlassian vision for the cloud? It's very clear from what Eileen said this morning. So the Atlassian vision is to move more and more to the cloud, wherever that's possible for the clients. There's a big investment by Atlassian to move towards the cloud. Of course, service and data center will still exist for now. I think data center will exist more than server in the future. But then, as I said, there'll be more and more push to the clouds from Atlassian. So is the cloud the place to be for you? It really depends on some questions to answer within your company. So first is look at the functionality that you need or that you currently use in server that you would like to use the server products for this. So depending on the functionalities and the apps that are available, you can make your assessment on if it's the right thing for you or not. Another restriction that might be of question for you, and probably in Switzerland it's way more of a question than in other countries, is where the data is to be stored. Atlassian, I think, will give you the option to choose if that's going to be in the European Union or not. But to be in Switzerland or not is probably a question for your company to answer as well. And does it align with your IT strategy? Your IT strategy to be in the cloud, to move. Some companies prefer to have all their applications as software as a service on the cloud, or to have your behind a firewall where you have more control of your application. So it depends on your IT strategy as well. What's your Atlassian strategy? So a few options to consider as well. So stay on the server or data center for now until more and more application functionalities come into the cloud, and the cloud is more mature to answer for your needs. Migrate now. There's a need within your company to start migrating to the clouds as well. Consider an alternative hybrid solution, and this is where you can actually host your application on AWS, but have the Atlassian server installed, and Valiantys offers this option as well. Or start to move some of the applications that are less critical to the cloud. I know some people I talk with here today, they have a couple of applications on the cloud and others on the server. An example would be to have your Confluence, for example, on the cloud, where you can have access to documentation, and then keep going using server on the Jira on the server until you are ready to move to the cloud as well. I'm going to leave you with some resources that will help you compare the two. So the first one is a bit more technical. So it's they all Atlassian links. So to compare the cloud and server, a bit more technical. The next one is more the functional differences between the cloud and the servers and the server. What's available on the cloud and what's available on the server, or how do they differ between the two? If you're planning to do a cloud migration, this link will actually give you the image I had before, these 6 stages, but in a lot more details that will help you to plan your migration. And then finally, there's the Atlassian blog on the cloud, and that's where you get all the updates and the latest news on what's happening on the cloud as well. That's for me for today. I'll take some questions if anyone has any questions.